Hello, and welcome to another episode of Millionaires Are Made, the show where we believe you can be a millionaire in all six aspects of health. We do shows on financial, physical, spiritual, intellectual, mental, and today's episode is going to be on your social health. We're focusing on communication. How do you communicate with all your people, your friends, all that good stuff? So if you're interested in social health communication, we got three awesome guests that are going to give us some tips on how to improve our social health with communication. If this is your first time watching Millionaires Are Made, welcome. This is a show where we believe that every person you meet knows something that you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone on this big, beautiful world in the spirit of authenticity. We don't even know or talk to our guests until about 30 minutes before the show, and we don't go over our tips or anything. So everything that they tell you is going to be from their own life journey, teaching and telling you all about how to improve your social health with communication. It's going to be a great episode. We'd love you if you're watching this in the audience. Please comment and ask questions. We love hearing that and talking about that. It's going to be a great time. Um, if you want to be a guest, please sign up. We'd love to have you. The link's being shared below. If you have any sort of expertise, we will put you on a show and let you share it with the world so everyone can grow and learn. And if you are currently struggling through something, maybe you feel a little lost, you're not sure how to solve the problem, we always love new topic ideas. So shoot us a message. We will go find three guests with expertise in that topic, and we will put them on a show just for you. If you like what we do, obviously on social media, please give us a little heart, share, subscribe, whatever you do on the social media you're watching. And if you want to go a little more in depth, I do offer free coaching and growth sessions. That link's being dropped below. We'd love to have you sign up and talk to you one on one for a little bit and see how I can help. Without further ado, we are going to welcome our first guest today. Rachel has been a guest before. She's pretty awesome. We are going to go find out what she's all about. Rachel, can you tell us who you are?
Hi, thank you for having me back. I'm Rachel Greenwell, and I am the author of How to Wear a Crown. I'm a life coach and teacher, and I like to call myself like an unconditional love enthusiast because whatever I can do to spread the love in the world.
Unconditional love enthusiast. Wow, that's awesome. Rachel, if I wanted to improve my social health with communication, what is one simple tip that you would give me?
I don't know how simple it is, but I want to say to not rely on fully on human intelligence and to allow yourself to rely on spiritual intelligence.
Ooh, wow, that's pretty powerful. Tell us more about that.
Well, I think what I mean by that is getting out of our own way and letting like a higher power, God, I'm a very spiritual person. I have a, degree in metaphysics. Like a lot of my things are rooted in spirituality. So, I would say inviting spirit in, whatever that means to you. Um, when I like just before this show, before I speak to anybody, I say, work through me, speak through me. I ask God to work through me and speak through my mouth. And I think we can do that. It doesn't, you don't have to be a public speaker. You don't have to be a public figure. You don't have to be in a leadership position to utilize that spiritual tool. And you can always ask God to help you communicate. If you're having an issue communicating in a relationship on any scale, whether it's a one-on-one or in any small group setting, you can invite spirit in to help you. There's a divine intelligence that we can connect to and that wants to support you.
All right. Well, Rachel, tell us a little bit about where on your life journey did you learn that tip?
I learned that because I was a really bad communicator. I think that's why anybody learns communication skills. But it started with just me being in meditation. I wanted to be a better communicator. I wanted to be able to take the things that were in my mind and on my heart and express them the way that my intentions felt. And I one of my biggest pet peeves is being misunderstood. So I began just a daily practice of meditation and prayer for all aspects of my growth and spiritual journey. And that was one of the areas where I committed to learning a lot for, about 3 to 6 months. I really dedicated time to learning about communication. And that was one of the practices that I instilled in myself before I would go in front of anybody. I would ask God to help me communicate what was on my heart and mind authentically and in a way that that person could receive it well. And it seemed to work.
Awesome. All right. So a little life experience, a little learning. That's awesome. Anything else you want to add? You got a little more time here, Rachel. Tell us more about communication.
Well, I think that it's also, we have to know ourselves. We can't just let, a higher power take over completely. We also need to be like, I'm an introvert by nature. So I think it's important to understand how much communication you can handle. I think there's a balance to communication. What situations make you comfortable, what situations make you uncomfortable, which topics make you comfortable, which topics make you uncomfortable, and having boundaries around that. I think also to be authentic in nature when you're speaking, to be honest and truthful instead of like masking up and kind of like speaking from a persona self, to really try to speak from a true and authentic self has been something that's been huge for me in learning to communicate better.
Awesome. Oh, wow. Awesome, Rachel. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next guest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Craig. Craig, tell us, who are you?
Hey, Austin. Craig Merriweather. I am a hypnotherapist living in Flagstaff, Arizona. So it's Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy. And I help people heal themselves through the power of their own subconscious mind. I do not fix people. Hypnotherapy in and of itself doesn't fix people. You fix yourself, because who better to know what the problem is than you, even if it's unconscious. And you are allowed, you have the power, you have the right to do this healing work. It doesn't take a long time. You don't need to spend months and years. You can heal pretty quickly because your subconscious mind is that powerful.
Awesome. Okay. So subconscious mind, hypnotherapy, heal yourself. Now, when you say heal yourself, are you talking about physically, spiritually, mentally, or all of the above?
All of the above. I think a lot of people look towards hypnotherapy as a way to quit smoking. That's what it's kind of famous for. But it can deal with early childhood trauma. It can deal with pain, physical pain, as well as mental and emotional and spiritual pain. A lot of the issues within the body are controlled by mind. And of course, we all know that emotions can affect the body in a certain ways, but even issues like irritable bowel syndrome, the main cause for that is stress and anxiety. And so what would the cure be? Is turning off that stress response, turning off the sympathetic nervous system and turning on the parasympathetic nervous system. Hypnotherapy is great at that because the foundation is rest and relaxation. And this isn't just me saying this off the top of my head. Hundreds upon hundreds of research studies in peer-reviewed research journals. Go to scholar.google.com. Just look up Google Scholar, and you can put in any sort of term and find research papers about it. And you can find all sorts of extraordinary research done on hypnotherapy. Not only, of course, just the mental health issues, emotional health, but also physical health as well.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Okay, tell us, where on your life journey did you learn this tip?
I struggled a lot in my life with depression and anxiety, and I think as a lot of people come to the health profession, it's their own hurt and pain that they were working on when they sought help, and they loved the way it helped them. They wanted to help others. Struggled a lot with depression and anxiety in my teenage years. My mother struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts. Maybe I'm mirroring what she did. Maybe it's a genetic thing. But this is the 1980s when I was a teenager going through high school. There's no medications, at least not for, generalized depression and anxiety. Those SSRI drugs didn't come out till the 1990s, late 1990s or so, Prozac, things like that. And so really it was muscling through it. There's talk therapy and whatever book you could find at the bookstore or the library. But it wasn't really until my son was born in 2000 that I was like, okay, now I got to get my life on track. I got to get my life together. Because if I grew up in this household watching depression, I have it myself. Maybe it's a genetic thing. What chances does my son have to maybe experiencing this? So I wanted to get my life together. And so I started working on myself. And now at this point in the year 2000, we got the internet. There's lots of information out there that you can tap into. And I started doing the work. I started finding the techniques and the exercises to reset the mind, even just, going out and exercising. So much research out there on just moving your body can help with depression. But one of the things that helped the most was therapeutic hypnosis. And
have you heard of the hope molecule?
What is that?
Have you heard of the hope molecule?
Oh, yeah. There's coming out. Yeah. There's all sorts of, and it's so extraordinary the times we live in right now. And so many therapeutic modalities out there, and so much research going on what's going on in the brain and the body with mind and influencing all those different parts influencing each other. And it's an extraordinary time to be in. And that's why I like hypnotherapy, because it can influence all those different aspects of mind, body, and spirit. Because again, it's you. It's not me doing something to you. And again, it's unfortunate that hypnosis has a lot of baggage around it, maybe due to those entertainment shows, comedy clubs in Las Vegas and things. They have those shows, or what people see on TVs and movies. It's so unfortunate because this is such an extraordinary modality. Because again, you can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. I can't make you dance like Michael Jackson or sing like Elvis Presley or imitate Beyonce or whatever. If you want to do that, you can get up on stage and absolutely do that. That's why they volunteer to do that, to get up on stage.
Right.
But in terms of healing, if you want to heal, just like if you want to sing like Elvis Presley in front of a crowd of people or dance like Michael Jackson, you can do that. If you want to heal, my God, it's extraordinary what you're able to do.
Craig, thank you so much. Very enlightening and eye-opening. We'll bring you back out in the round robin. We're going to move on to our next guest, though. Bringing out Alicia now. Alicia, who are you?
Hi, I'm Alicia Fariselli. I am an inner child coach. I work with people of all different backgrounds to help heal their inner child so they can move forward in their life, business, professionally, and personally. I do this through one-on-one coaching courses, and I have a podcast and speaking engagements as well.
Awesome. Everyone go listen to our podcast and check her out. All right, well, let's hear this. If I wanted to improve my social health with communication, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Oh my gosh, such a good question. Heal your inner child. Start with your inner child.
All right, tell us some more about that.
Yeah, so we think about the way that we communicate with our socially or professionally. A lot of that's tied into the way that the little small traumas, sometimes larger traumas that we have as children. And so, for instance, if your teacher got onto you when you're in grade school, you might be a little shy. You might have a little bit of worthlessness to not start conversations. If your teacher told you all the time, or your parents told you all the time to be quiet, or maybe you're more quiet, but you're naturally a very talkative, expressive person. So a lot of things that we have going on in our childhood really reflect how we act to the outer world as adults.
And so how do we heal our inner child?
Yeah. So start loving it.
Okay.
Just start by simply talking to your inner child. I call my mind little Alicia. So I get deep inside. Little Alicia, every time that I'm feeling fearful or I have some jealousy coming up or something that's not associated with love, then I know that's my little Alicia acting out for attention. And so just start recognizing those patterns is really the first step. And then of course, going into meditation and journaling always helps to bring out some of the things that your little inner child might be screaming for.
So where in your life journey did you learn about your inner child and how to make it happen?
Yeah. So I've been on a transformative journey for years. And I really tied in and got introduced to the concept of inner child. And I was like, that's exactly what's blocking me for my professional and social, all kinds of things in my life. And so I started going down and I started healing that little child inside of me. Had a very, I want to say emotionally traumatic sort of upbringing, very conservative background that I didn't agree with a lot of it. And so that really taught me that this inner child needs to come out and needs to be play and needs to be healed. And so when I started doing that, I started noticing my life changing. And so I've been coaching for a while, but I really saw such a big difference that it was making in my life. So now I'm bringing that healing to other people.
I love it. I love it. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Alicia. We're going to move on to the fun part. We're going to bring everyone else out and do a little round robin here and go over each other's tips. Rachel, first off, can you quickly refresh what your tip was for us?
Absolutely. Yeah. So mine was kind of just to invite spirit, invite your higher power into your communication, ask for divine guidance around it. You don't have to rely solely on your own understanding or your own or human intelligence, that God is there for you to help you with all of the problems that you have in your life, including communication issues, and to make that a daily practice of asking for help with your speaking.
Craig, what are your thoughts on her tip?
I think it's brilliant, especially the dailiness of it. There's a certain relentlessness that has to happen with this work. You just don't get to go work out with a personal trainer once, go to the gym once, and then you're in shape for the rest of your life. There's a relentlessness to this work. A lot of people may know Tony Robbins. Maybe they saw that documentary about him that came out a few years ago. The man's been doing this work for 40 years, and he's still in the morning doing the cold plunge, doing the jumping on a little trampoline, doing his meditation work, and then putting himself in state before he goes out on stage. You don't just do it for a year or two. It's a continuous process. And by using that idea of a daily practice, then that Rachel just talked about, it's like you can achieve the goals that you want to achieve and be the person you want to be.
Alicia, what are your thoughts on Rachel's tip?
I absolutely love it. Love every part of that. Yes, I'm a very spiritual person as well. So I completely connect with what she's saying. And what she's saying is 100,000% correct. When you start connecting with the divine spirit, God, whatever you want to call, your life will totally do a difference. And when you start letting that guide you throughout life, you're going to see so many awesome things come up. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. We've got a question from the audience here. How can I manage potential burnout or exhaustion while increasing my social engagement? Who wants to start off that one?
I have a tip I can speak on to that.
Okay, let's hear it.
I would say as somebody who is introverted, I get burnt out easily when I am engaging a lot socially, and if I'm communicating a lot, I absorb a lot of other people's stuff, and so I feel that so deeply. And so I would say if you are on a journey of trying to learn to engage more, that to do it in micro nudges past your comfort zone, to a phases process, do it very slowly. Don't push yourself too far past your comfort zone, because then what you'll do is retreat back into yourself. You want to do it. And I think what Alicia was talking about earlier about the inner child is so important, right? Because you're kind of easing that inner child into this new thing, and you wouldn't want to push a kick too hard. So you want to do it lovingly, because you do have that part of you that's healing, that's really sensitive and vulnerable. So just to do it easily and graciously, give yourself grace and do it easily over time.
Awesome. Anyone else want to add to that?
Yeah, what I was going to say, especially about, is I deal with the introvertedness as well. I just get drained by social engagement. And, what's interesting about the research is they think an extrovert uses mostly short-term memory, while an introvert uses long-term memory. So it takes a bit longer for an introvert to deal with the information that they're bringing in during the day. So it's a little more exhausting. In terms of dealing with burnout, I think you just need to watch yourself during your day. Check in with yourself multiple times a day. If you need to reset yourself, reboot yourself, just take a rest. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, especially like some of the techniques and of communicating with spirit that Rachel was talking about are a great way. Even if you just have a 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can reset yourself and just make sure you're putting yourself in a state of mind that you're ready for the engagement that you're about to go into. Just like as we're recording this, where the Olympics are happening, I guarantee you every single Olympic athlete is putting themselves in the zone, in state before their event, whether it's a solo event like gymnastics or a group event like running or swimming. They're putting themselves in state, just like a musician before walking on stage. So before you go to that party, before you go to that networking event, before you go to that meeting at work, take a moment to just put yourself in state, just as if you're an Olympic athlete, and put yourself in the mindset that you need to be in to engage in the activity you're about to walk into.
That's huge. That's huge. Alicia, any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Really
find your purpose. I mean, if it's social events, if you're burnt out, what's your purpose behind it? Why are you going to these events? And so when you find your purpose while you're doing that, it's going to give you a little more motivation, and then just really, protect your time and your energies around it, especially for introverted.
All right, we've got another question from the audience here. Hopefully you guys are ready for it. What role can small, intimate gatherings play in improving social health for introverts? What helps you guys?
Well, as an introvert, it's interesting. We're getting so many questions about introverts. I think that's a big struggle, because I think a lot of us tried to hide our introvertedness. There was some shame around it, I think, for a long time. And I think, especially when that book, what was it, the book Quiet, that came out a little bit ago, it really shined a light on the importance of being an introvert. Not that an extrovert is wrong, of course not. But again, I think when you look at the differences in maybe the way the brain works, if you're a short-term memory person, you can go from event to event to event, and it's almost like you're just starting anew. Whereas if you have to process for a long period of time, it's going to exhaust you maybe a little bit more in terms of intimate gatherings. Yeah, that might be a way to engage that makes you a little more comfortable, because probably more than likely you know the people very well, and it's probably a great way to maybe start building up that strength to do gatherings that are maybe people that you don't know, like a networking event, to kind of start building up those muscles. But the important thing is just know your limits and know what you need to do to recharge yourself. And that may be after a couple of hours, you need to be by yourself and read or take a long walk or something.
All right.
Yeah, I have something to say about that as well. Just that it's okay to have a preference. It's okay to know yourself. Like I was speaking about earlier, like being authentic, knowing yourself. If I'm the kind of person who that's my preference is a smaller social gathering, I think that gives you the opportunity to have connection with people and especially like for introverts, like I think we have that difficulty with like superficial conversation. So it gives you the intimacy and the space to have that deeper connection where you're touching on those deeper topics. And I think that's what fuels an introvert to be connected, is to have a space where you can get to those deeper parts of yourself faster, instead of just hanging out in that superficial. Like introverts hate to talk about the weather or what's on the news and the sports, and like that's like painful for us. So like we were like, can we get to the childhood trauma already? Like, can we just get to like let's share diagnosis, like what's going on here? Like I want to go deep and really fast, or I'm bored. So like that gives me the opportunity to get connected deeply really fast when I'm in more intimate situations. And that's just something I know about myself. I prefer that, and that's okay. I think that self-acceptance is really important to say, this is the kind of social life that I like to have. And I don't have to try to meet the expectations of what it looks like to have an extroverted social life.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. A lot of that is just acceptance. Any other thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, I was going to say with introverts, there's a certain aspect where we try to force ourselves to be extroverts because extroverts are so proud of their extrovertedness, and they think, well, why aren't you like me? Why aren't you out at the parties? Why aren't you energized by all this fun I'm having? And to me, that's not fun to me. That exhausts me. Going from thing to thing, and that's why I feel so bad about for high school students who may be introverts. And, especially nowadays with all the social media, the first thing in the morning, they're probably on social media. And then they got 6-7 classes during the day plus lunch. And then if they're doing something afterwards, they got athletics, they're in the theater, they're doing music, they're doing something else. They got at work. And then they have all these things they have to go through, and it's exhausting for them. Whereas for an extrovert, they're charged by the end of the day. That every single aspect of their life energizes them. Whereas for an introvert, we see that and say, why can't I be like that? They look like they're having fun. And it creates some self-doubt, creates some maybe esteem issues, some confidence issues. But I think nowadays, it seems like even just this conversation we're having, that introverts feel more grounded in themselves now because it's okay to be an introvert. They realize it's okay to take time for yourself, for self-care. And if you know those things that do charge you up, and again, maybe it's just reading a book or doing some meditation or taking a walk out in nature or around your town. If you find those things that can charge you up, then you may be more inclined to want to engage in a networking event or a meeting or a party or something.
Valid points. All right, we've got another question from the audience. Going to be, how can I feel more? It kind of goes along with what we've been talking about. How can I feel more at ease talking to strangers, especially since this topic's on communication? I can't breathe while talking. So what advice do you guys have for talking to strangers and meeting new people?
I love this question. Ask them about their life. Ask them questions. You can just listen. People love to talk about themselves. So if you just ask them questions about their life, and don't be like, I hate the question in a networking group. What do you do? What do you do? That's like, well, I do a bunch of other things. Tell me about yourself. And so that gets people to open up and just start talking about themselves, and then just start layering the questions off of that. And that's a practice that you can put into place with that. That's really worked well for me with specifically networking events.
Yeah, that's genius advice. People enjoy talking about themselves, and so just ask questions. Again, yeah, like she said, don't ask, what do you do? Where were you born? Ask interesting others. What's the most exciting place you ever visited? Mm-hmm. What's your favorite band? Who's your favorite Beatle? I don't know. Just questions that maybe you're interested in, but where's the favorite place you like to travel to, and watch the conversation just blossom.
Yeah, that's good. Especially travel. People love talking about their favorite vacations. I mean, that's why we go on them. The best memories. Yeah. Some of the best memories we have are vacations. Rachel, were you about to say something?
I would love to speak on that as well. First, breathe. If you're having trouble breathing during a conversation, just do one of those. Get you a good breath in. And then my next advice is, I've found to be honest about the anxiety about the conversation, because other people typically are also anxious about talking to new people. So if we could just break that ice and be like, I'm a little nervous right now. Like, I'm talking to new people always makes me like so anxious. Like if I just start off the conversation by admitting that anxiety, they go, oh my God, me too. And then we can just go ahead and be okay with being vulnerable. And because everybody else is too. We are all human. You're not the only one that's having anxiety about talking to a new person. There's a fear around that for a reason. It's kind of a deeply ingrained thing to have, like, stranger danger. So, like, just put it out there, break the ice, be vulnerable, and then it takes the power away from the anxiety too. If I just spit that out and say, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous right now, then people are like, me too. And then it's like the weight of the anxiety goes away. It doesn't feel like a big mountain anymore. It kind of eases it just to say it out loud.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also depends on the situation. Really quickly, just if it's a spontaneous engagement, you're on the subway, you're on the bus, you're standing in line at the coffee shop, that's one thing. But if you're going into a situation, a networking event, a meeting with investors that maybe you don't know, again, put yourself in state. Just don't walk in, get to the meeting a little bit early. Sit in your car, go to the bathroom, find a private place to be, and put yourself in the state of mind you need to be in. And if you have to pretend that you're that person, just pretend you're that person. Armor yourself with, literally pretend that you're putting yourself in a suit of armor, or that you're the most confident person in the world, and then walk into the meeting and start asking the fun questions, if that's appropriate, of more like, who do you want to be in the future? What is your goals for the future? My God, you'll get some amazing answers out of that.
I love it. All right, we've got another. This one's not much of a question, but it's a comment that I think you guys will love responding to. We need to normalize discussing relationships and communication. It's crucial, but often underestimated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We look like the Muppets, just nodding our heads. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
I think communication breakdown is probably the root of like a lot of relationship issues. And once you fix the communication piece, it kind of ripples out into fixing a lot of your relationship issues on lots of levels, from very intimate relationships all the way to those like more just like, random relationships that you might, small encounters that you might have. And I think also understanding that communication is more than talking. There's also body language. There's understanding somebody's intentions behind what they're saying, hearing those small nuances on somebody's voice. Like, there's so much to know about communication that can help you, like, to see if you can tell that somebody feels uncomfortable, that's a communication. If their body language, like if I'm not sitting relaxed, and then if I'm sitting like this and I'm guarding myself, that's a communication like that I'm obviously uncomfortable. That would be a time to say, let's not engage with that person. It's a clue, right? Like if you can, communication is so much more than just speaking. And I think once we know that too, that it's something that happens energetically. There's an energetic communication that's taking place between two beings rather than just two human people talking, and to bring that more spiritual aspect into it, I think could heal a lot of issues. Yeah,
that's an extraordinary point. I think it's something like 56% of communication is body language, 32% is tone. And so really we're looking at, and whatever the math ends up being, something around 8% is just the words you're saying. And so you can communicate a lot to people just by, again, if you're walking into a room of strangers, how's your body? Can you stand up? There was all that Stanford research that came out, or was it Harvard research that came out about the power poses, doing the Wonder Woman pose or the Superman pose before you walk in will literally help you change the hormones and the brain chemistry. And so, when you're dealing with having to communicate, you notice how you're standing, notice how what you're saying with your body and how you're saying it. Obviously something like, you ask somebody how they're doing, or I'm fine. I'm exaggerating, but you can hear it in somebody's tone, whether they're fine or not. And so much communication, and a brilliant point Rachel made is this: you don't even have to hear the actual words. You can just see in their body how they're doing. And if you're in a relationship, that could be crucial to whether, you can help them or not, even noticing that they're in trouble.
Yeah. And oftentimes we ignore the subtle things, even though we're picking up on them. We're making conscious decisions to ignore instead of engage, or instead of respond or communicate back in a way. just like the simple thing of like seeing that somebody's uncomfortable to place a hand on their back or something like that. Like, there's these little micro choices that we make all throughout the day to either make our connections better or create separation, right? It's the choice to create connection or separation all throughout the day.
Awesome. Well, we are at the point where it's time to come up with our daily challenge. So here's the challenge. It must take less than 5 minutes a day, cost $0, and be available to anyone from Iceland down to New Zealand. What thoughts do you guys have that helps our social health and communication?
I would say there's a great little technique. I'll run it down in about 30 seconds. It's a technique developed by Dr. Richard Nongard, a psychotherapist and hypnotherapist. It's called 3-2-1 reset. Breathe deeply 3 times. That's a great way to reset your nervous system. And I mean belly breaths, abdominal breaths, not these upper chest breaths. Abdominal breaths that will stimulate the vagus nerve, which is a big part of that parasympathetic nervous system. 3 slow breaths. Take your 2 arms. Give yourself a hug. This will start changing your brain chemistry to start creating oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. So you're literally hacking your brain. And while you're giving yourself this hug, sending this message, this healing, loving touch from your body back up to your brain, think of somebody you want to give a hug to, a good friend, a pet, a dog, a cat, maybe somebody who's no longer with us, your grandmother, someone you've never met before, Mother Teresa or Gandhi. And so breathing deeply 3 times, giving yourself this hug, this bilateral stimulation, and then thinking of someone you want to give a hug to will literally reset your nervous system, change your brain chemistry. You can do that in 5 minutes, totally free. And it's a great way to change your mindset before you walk into a meeting or a networking event.
All right. I like it. Any thoughts on that, Alicia and Rachel?
I love it. I would follow that back up with clearing your throat chakra out. You can do that by just simply singing to the top of your lungs. You can close a closet or whatever. Screaming into a pillow, or there's tons of meditations on like YouTube, Spotify that will do a quick energetic clearing of your throat chakra.
Yeah, I really love that. I think that having a relaxed nervous system changes everything about your communication, and all of the things he said will relax you. I communicate much differently when I'm relaxed versus when I'm having anxiety. So that's definitely crucial.
You definitely look relaxed right now. I'm envious. All right. So what do you guys think, taking all that together, what do you think should be our final daily challenge to encourage? And I'm challenging you guys as well. You guys got to do it as well. So 5 minutes a day, no cost. What do you think the final challenge should be?
Well, I have to add prayer. I mean, because my whole thing today has been about having that prayer practice to invite your higher power, whatever you believe in, to help you with your communication, making that a daily part of learning to make it spiritual first and then bring it down into the physical reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What if you're to add all 3? Because what's brilliant about what Alicia was saying about humming, the vagus nerve goes past the vocal cord. So when you hum or you sing, you stimulate the vagus nerve, then again, activate the parasympathetic nervous system relaxation response. So what if you did 3-2-1 reset, you start humming, and then you connect with higher source. Mm-hmm. You do all that within 5-6 minutes. And just
all right, I like that.
Reset body, mind, spirit within 5 minutes.
We have
3, 2, 1, hum, pray.
Yeah, there you go.
3, 2, 1, hum, pray.
Oh my God, we should take this on the road.
3, 2, 1, hum, pray. I might do. I think I'm going to have to do this. 3, 2, 1, hum, pray every day.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm adding to it. One of our audience members suggested, what about talk to a stranger about their life?
Ooh, that's good.
Love that.
Yeah.
So 3, 2, 1, hum, pray. And then you have to reach out. And the cool thing is you can do this on Facebook, because I'm sure a lot of us have, maybe not even a stranger, but someone you haven't talked to in a while, about maybe where they're traveled. We said that was a good opening question, right? Maybe where's the best place you've traveled in the last year to re-encourage old relationships. I'm sure all of us have Facebook friends that we haven't talked to in a year. Everyone's got those little extra ones you just bring along, you know. So how do you guys feel about 3, 2, 1, hum, pray, talk to someone?
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I want to say it like it's a mantra. I want to be like 3, 2, 1, pray. Like I'm doing like a chakra. 3, 2, 1, pray.
Hey, that sounds like you got your chant right there.
It sounds like a chant. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
do that.
3, 2, 1, hum, pray, text. 3, 2, 1, hum, pray, text.
Yeah.
All right, everyone sound good with that?
We started a thing. It's going to be a hashtag now.
Hashtag
3, 2, 1, pray.
Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy. All right. Well, that is our daily challenge. That's going to be awesome. We're doing a 3, 2, 1 hum pray. So we'll be challenging you guys as well as our viewers. Please post it on your page and our Facebook group. We'll be tagging all of you guys in it as well. And thank you guys for coming out so much. What an awesomely fun episode, even with all my crazy issues I had on my end with the late start and going on a phone instead of the broken laptop. Thank you guys for working through that, and thank you all for watching. Great questions from the audience. You guys are always on par to challenge our guests. We're going to wrap the show up and put everyone backstage, and we've got an awesome daily challenge. 3, 2, 1 hum, pray, text, some sort of mantra. At this time, as usual, we want to thank our sponsors. So we're going to start with Sam Westfall, an Army veteran with 35 years of shooting experience. He founded Archery in Motion. If you're watching the Olympics and watching some shooters and you want to be just like them, Sam's your guy. His link's being dropped right now. Go check him out with Archery in Motion today. We also have Jen Gray. Jen's host of an awesome podcast called Be Genuine with Jen. You should go check that out. Listen to it right after you listen to Millionaires Are Made. She's a licensed health and life and health agent dedicated to help small businesses and entrepreneurs thrive. Krista Ford is awesome. She's also, if you're watching the Olympics, Krista Ford isn't in this one, but she is a decorated medalist, the first Black female bobsledder, and 40 years of training in powerlifting and bobsledding. Super awesome. And our last sponsor is Don Gleason, seasoned expert with 42 years in military and corporate roles. He empowers businesses to achieve new heights. So if you're looking to grow and expand in your personal life as well as your business, check out Don. Link is being dropped below. And huge shout out for our followers. We love having you guys. Thank you so much. On Facebook, Hal Holly and Vanessa Bush. You guys are awesome. Thanks for following us. On Instagram, we have Devin Seegers as well as SAM. You rock. TikTok, Coach Barbara Ann. Huge shout out to you. And Garcia Twins. You guys are awesome. Rocking. And on YouTube, we have Christian Sloan and Jamie Cooksley. Thank you all for following and supporting. Hope you had an awesome episode.